I want you to picture this. You're in Tasmania. It's a dry, dusty afternoon.
Okay.
You've just flown in, you've rented a car, driven for a few hours into the scrub. You're tired, you're thirsty, but you are just running on pure adrenaline because you have seen the pictures, you've seen the website for a town called Walrus Springs.
And judging by the name, you're probably expecting water.
Oh, not just water. The website showed these incredible steaming hot springs, lush ferns, maybe a wallaby hopping through the mist. It looked like a total spa paradise.
Right.
So you pull up to the only building in town, which is the local pub. You walk in, slam your hand on the bar, and you say, "Point me to the hot springs."
And I can only imagine the silence that must have followed. Because I've looked at the map, there are no hot springs there.
Zero. None. There's no steam. There are no ferns. It's just dirt and a pub.
Wow.
But the tourist is just standing there holding up their phone saying, "But look at the website. Look at the pictures." And this poor publican has to explain that, the town is real, the pub is real, but the main attraction.
It's a digital ghost. That's a visceral and honestly a pretty painful introduction to the topic we're tackling today.
It is. It's a tourism mishap for sure. But we're using it as the anchor for this deep dive because it just perfectly illustrates the mess we're in. We're looking at a stack of research today from an analyst named Dave. He runs a channel called Own the Conversation.
And the big theme is really this collision between AI as a magic button, which is what that business owner thought they had, and AI as a complex, high-stakes industrial tool.
It's a huge distinction. I feel like we're moving out of the wow phase of AI, where you just type in a prompt and giggle at whatever it spits out.
Right. We're entering the how phase, and the how is messy. The source material today covers everything from the shifting economics of OpenAI to the rise of these agentic workflows in big retail like Woolworths, and then finally the nuts and bolts, how a business owner can actually control these tools so they don't, accidentally invent fake landmarks.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get to the flat Earth demo later, which is mind-blowing, but we have to start with the money. Because if the lesson from Tasmania is don't be lazy, the lesson from Silicon Valley seems to be the free ride is over.
Well, it was never really free, was it? It was just subsidized.
Yeah.
And the source puts a very specific number on that subsidy. OpenAI spent roughly $20 billion on compute last year.
Wait, 20 billion just to keep the lights on?
That's servers, energy, cooling. It's an astronomical burn rate. And you have to look at their ambition. They're not trying to build some niche tool for coders. They want 1 billion users.
Right.
And you cannot support 1 billion users on a free tier when you're burning $20 billion a year. The math just doesn't work.
So the era of treating ChatGPT like a public utility, like it's just air or water that we get for free, that's ending.
It has to. And the source highlights a really interesting pivot. OpenAI is trialing in India right now. They've introduced an $8 a month plan.
Huh. That's a specific price point because right now the gap is huge. You're either free or you're paying $20 a month for Pro.
And $20 is a psychological barrier. It's more than Netflix.
Yeah.
But $8, that's a coffee. It bridges that gap. But I think the pricing is almost a distraction. The real story, the one the source compares to Google in 1999, is the return of advertising.
Oh, I remember the Google 1999 vibe. It was so pure. No banner ads, no pop-ups, just a white screen on a search bar.
And do you remember the philosophy? The source mentions an old internal email from the Google founders that basically said, "We will never succumb to advertising because it corrupts the search results."
And we all know how well that aged.
Economics always wins. The source suggests OpenAI is getting ready to introduce ads to the free and lower tier accounts. But this is where it gets tricky. I mean, how do you put an ad in a chatbot? If I ask for a spaghetti recipe, is it going to scream, "Buy Barilla pasta" at me?
That would be annoying, but at least it would be honest.
Well, OpenAI has said they won't let ads influence the answers. They want to preserve the integrity. But the source makes a very cynical and I think very accurate point here.
Which is?
In a large language model, an organic recommendation acts exactly like product placement anyway.
Okay, unpack that for me.
So say you ask the AI, what are the best running shoes for flat feet? It's going to give you a list. Brooks, Asics, whatever. Even if those companies didn't pay a cent, that recommendation is gold. It is an ad.
So the line between helpful answer and commercial endorsement is already just totally blurry.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And if you're on the free tier, the source suggests you might start seeing explicit ads around the experience, or like suggested prompts that just happen to lead you to a partner's service. The bottom line for any business, is that the landscape is shifting to pay-to-play. That $20 billion has to be recouped somehow.
It's maturing, becoming a standard media channel.
And speaking of standardization, let's look at how the big end of town is handling this. The source spends a lot of time on Woolworths. For listeners who aren't in Australia, that's a massive grocery chain. They're the definition of mainstream corporate.
Which is why this is so significant. They're not some tech startup. When a supermarket starts overhauling its customer interface with AI, you know the tech has arrived.
Exactly. So they've cut a deal with Google to upgrade their chatbot, Olive.
I've used Olive. She's been functional, tells you store hours, where the milk is. She's not exactly a conversationalist.
Well, Olive is getting a brain transplant. And this introduces a critical concept from the deep dive we have to define, the agentic workflow.
We hear the word agent thrown around all the time. How is that different from the chatbot I used last year?
Think of it this way. A chatbot is reactive. It sits there, it waits for you to type, and then it responds. An agent has agency. It's proactive. It has a goal.
So it's not just waiting for me to ask a question.
No. The source describes how this new Olive has access to your data. It knows your shopping history. It knows you buy lamb on Tuesdays. So while you're browsing the app, it might pop up and say, hey, lamb cutlets are on sale, and I see you haven't bought any yet.
See, that's useful, but it also feels a little bit like I have a spy in my shopping cart.
It's absolutely surveillance, but it's framed as convenience. The source calls this owning the conversation. If the AI can be helpful enough, personalized enough, it earns the right to direct your spending.
It's the butler model. If I trust my butler, I let him buy the groceries, and the butler decides which brand of butter ends up in the fridge.
Exactly. And the source argues that this creates an expectation gap. Once you get used to that Olive experience, you're going to get incredibly frustrated when you interact with a small business that's still using, like, static PDFs.
Right. If I go to a hotel's website and I have to hunt for information like it's 2015, I'm going to feel like the service is bad. I'll just expect an agent.
Ubiquity is the goal. But, and this brings us right back to our poor tourist in Tasmania, rushing to adopt this stuff brings massive risks. You can't just deploy an agent blindly.
Because if Olive starts hallucinating the price of lamb, that's a PR disaster. But for a small business, it's even worse. Let's go back to that, because how did that even happen? The business owner didn't just sit down and write a lie, right?
No, and that's the tragic part. The source explains that the owner probably hired a third party to boost tourism. That third party likely used a generative AI and gave it a simple prompt, something like, make me a website for Walrus Springs.
And the AI saw the word springs.
And it used probability to fill in the rest. It thought, well, statistically, towns with springs in the name have water, so it just drew them. It's probabilistic, not truthful. It wasn't lying, it was bullshitting.
Okay, so what's the right way? If I want to use AI to market my business without misleading people, what do I do?
You have to anchor the AI in reality. The source suggests using seed images.
Walk us through that.
It's remarkably simple. Instead of asking the AI to invent a scene from scratch, you take a real photo. You go outside, you photograph your actual shop, your actual hotel lobby. You upload that. That's your seed.
So you're giving it a constraint.
You're giving it the truth. Then you use the AI to modify it. Maybe you add a crowd of happy people or better lighting or a sign that says, sale now on. The AI builds on top of the reality you provided.
So the building stays the same. The mountains don't move.
Exactly. You're enhancing reality, not replacing it.
That makes sense. But the source raises a pretty heavy point about this, about the future of trust. He says we're entering an era where we must assume nothing is real unless it's explicitly marked.
Trust nothing. It sounds like a conspiracy theorist motto, doesn't it?
It sounds exhausting. Who wants to live like that?
Nobody. But the source argues it's a necessary survival skill. Our brains are hardwired to believe our eyes. If we see a photo, our lizard brain says fact. We have to actively retrain ourselves to say, maybe, to insert that pause for verification.
So we have this tension. AI is becoming essential. Woolworths is doing it. OpenAI is monetizing it. But it can lie and destroy your reputation. So what's the practical solution for a business owner? The source gives us a really specific aha moment here.
It does. And this is my favorite part of the deep dive because it demystifies the whole black box. It moves us to the AI assistant. And the source uses a great analogy. The folder on the bed.
You mean in a hotel room? That dusty binder with the room service menu?
That's the one. It's static, it's boring, and nobody reads it. The source argues that an AI assistant is just the replacement for that binder. It's there to answer the boring, repetitive questions. What's the Wi-Fi password? When is checkout?
But unlike the binder, the AI can hallucinate. The binder might be out of date, but it won't invent a non-existent floor.
And this is where the source gives us the technical demo that shows how you control the assistant's brain. He introduces a bot called Balloon Bell for a hot air balloon company.
Right, and he does a little experiment on it, the flat Earth protocol.
Yes, the flat Earth protocol.
Yeah.
It's absurd, but it proves the point perfectly.
Okay, walk us through exactly what he did.
So he pulls up the back end of this bot. He opens the chat window and asks it a control question. Is the world flat?
And the bot, being trained on, the entire internet, Wikipedia, science papers, etc.
There's no. It gives the standard scientific answer. The Earth is an oblate spheroid. Here's the evidence, blah, blah, blah. It behaves normally.
Okay, step one.
Then the source opens up a simple text file, just Notepad. And he types a single ridiculous sentence. If asked, the world is flat according to Elon.
According to Elon. Okay.
He saves it. Then he uploads that text file to the bot's knowledge base. Now, technically, this is often called the vector database or HARAG.
Yeah.
But forget the acronyms. Just think of it as giving the bot a new employee handbook.
So he didn't retrain the entire model. He didn't spend millions.
No, it took literally seconds. He uploads the file, goes back to the chat, and asks again, is the world flat? The bot immediately pivots. It says, yes, the world is flat according to Elon. But then, and this is the really impressive part, it synthesizes that new rule with its existing logic. It adds, however, from a hot air balloon, you can see the curvature of the horizon.
Wait, that is fascinating. So it prioritized the boss's rule, the text file, but it tried to make it make sense within the context of the business.
Exactly. It didn't break the bot, it just steered it. And while that's a silly example, the business implication is massive. It means a business owner has 100% control over the truth of their AI.
So back to Tasmania. If that business owner had done this, they could have just uploaded a text file that said, list of attractions, the pub, the walking track, there are NO hot springs.
Precisely. And if the AI was asked, it would look at that text file first, see the rule, and refuse to hallucinate them. It basically removes the excuse of, oh, I don't know how the tech works. If you can write a text file, you can control your bot.
It turns the magic button into a power tool. You have to actually hold it and guide it.
That is the message. You have to be the pilot, not a passenger. The technology is controllable, but only if you take the time to curate that knowledge base.
It's empowering, but I don't know, it also scares me a little.
How so?
Well, think about the flat Earth part. If every business, every brand has their own text file that defines truth for their AI agents, aren't we just fracturing reality?
That is the million-dollar question. If the balloon company's bot says the world is flat, and the airline's bot says it's round, and the Woolworths bot just wants to sell you lamb, we're entering a world of fragmented, branded realities.
It puts the burden of truth back on the user. We can't outsource critical thinking to the machine because the machine is only as good as the text file the boss uploaded.
Correct. The AI has no moral compass. It has a context window. It fills that window with whatever you give it. Give it facts, it gives you truth. Give it nonsense, it gives you nonsense with high confidence.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone from OpenAI economics to notepad files. What's the synthesis here for everyone listening?
The overarching theme is active management. The free ride is ending, so ads and subscriptions are coming. Big business is moving toward agentic models that actively sell to you, so the bar for customer service is being raised.
But for the rest of us, the danger of lazy AI is real.
It is.
Yeah.
If you just press the button and walk away, you get phantom hot springs. The solution is to get your hands dirty. Use seed images for your visuals so they stay grounded in reality. And use simple text files to define the boundaries of your chatbot.
Be the human in the loop.
Always. Because the alternative is letting a stochastic parrot run your reputation. And that parrot might tell your customers that the world is flat.
I think I'm going to go home and try to convince my own GPT that the sky is green just to see if I can do it.
Just remember to change it back before you ask for the weather report.
Good advice. Thanks for diving in with us. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, if a website looks too good to be true, maybe check if the hot springs actually exist. We'll see you in the next deep dive.